Hello and thanks for checking out ChartGuys.com. We're proud to be one of the most successful technical analysis communities online, teaching you the skills to become a more confident, effective, and informed trader. Join our community of hundreds of analysts worldwide working together to learn the charts, generate profit, and achieve financial independence. For access to daily live chart analysis and market coverage, a thriving chat community, along with dozens of hours of exclusive educational materials. We look forward to seeing you. Let's check out some charts. Hey everyone, checking in on the MJ sector after a bit more bloodshed today. There's a lot to talk about, most notably with ACB and some fundamentals. We'll go over that in just a second. But first things first, CGC. So as you know, I'm interested in playing this oversold bounce, and I am looking to scale into CGC. I did not add any positions today. I'm still sitting on 1 of 4 positions. Reason being, I was close to adding the weakness first thing this morning. Didn't get an entry I liked. By the time we saw that significant bounce, I said, okay, maybe I'll go for a 5-minute high or low. At that point, ACB and APHA were still in free fall. And I said, nope, this is not our bounce this morning. And why I was confident in saying that and what helped me stay off the gas in terms of entering more positions was, if you're familiar with this sector and these oversold bounces and how they play out from these daily free fall, waterfall flushes, they all have some commonalities that we see time and time again. Number one, the bounces usually start in the morning. And the fact that we had not seen that bounce taking place in the first hour and a half of trading made me say, nope, this doesn't look like it. Number two, the bounce happens sector-wide. Everybody moves together. So when ACB and APHA are in free fall, CGC is not going to get a bounce going. Number three, we look for that climax action, whether it's the gap down open, first flush. When things were really active, we would get a gap down open, a flush in the first 10 minutes, and then a V-shaped recovery to a new high of the day, and then the bounce was on. We can look back historically. The most recent little waterfall bounce that we have seen was a flush from 2232 to 1789. And that's a pretty solid pullback, dropping to lower lows, getting in some extreme RSI levels. That's the last bounce that I played on CGC, and that was a 20% pullback in 3 days. What did the bounce look like back then? Well, we can look. The bounce started with a gap down open, just barely, but it was a gap down open. The first hour of trading was a flush. There's your V-shaped recovery where we bounced 5% off the low of the day, 6%, almost 7% off the low of the day. Traded sideways, and then the bounce was on. We moved 25% over the next couple weeks. So, what I am looking for, normally, I would be looking for, I could see the weak close coming after the bounce this morning, and that was just due to saying, okay, this is not the bounce we're looking for, expecting a weak close, because when we see bears flush and get our last cover, again, it happens usually on a gap down open and weakness first thing in the morning. So I entered a short in CRON, which I got stopped out on. I'll point that out in just a second, but normally I would be looking to enter CGC aggressively tomorrow morning if I see these criteria. Gap down open, flush to -4 to 5% in the first 15 minutes of trading. And if we got that scenario, I would be looking to add position number 2, 3, and 4 of 4 all right then and there. And if that were to be the play, let's just say hypothetically speaking, we drop down under $14. Let's just say I average in, my average is 1380 on 3 positions. I have one position already at 1580 that was premature. And at this point, that is going to limit any profits that I do make on a bounce, but I do still anticipate making bounce profits because of how much capital I have to allocate. So if I did enter those 3 positions at 1380, I got that one at 1580, and that average would be, I'm not going to do that math off the top of my head successfully, but it would be down in the low $14 range, which would be fairly easy to recover from in my opinion. Because again, even if we're just looking for a daily bear flag, let's say we drop down into the mid $13 range, even a weak daily bounce would get us back towards the upper 15s, and a strong bounce would get us more towards 16, 17. So that's what I am looking at. The difference in this current scenario is ACB. So ACB has convertible debentures, and shout out to our member, Mr. F, who has been all over this and providing some very useful information, and not only useful information, but then information to back up his claims. So his claims are that Credit Suisse, who has the debt, the convertible debentures on ACB that have to be converted by Wednesday, 5 p.m. They want the price as low as possible on ACB because that means they get the best bang for their buck on those conversions and on the shares, the amount of shares that they will get. So today, he backed it up by showing the net house, which showed more than $8 million short ACB and no buying. So Credit Suisse is short ACB big time today. And they have incentive to have ACB as weak as possible into the closing on Wednesday. So now that's a curveball. So that's the question. Can the weakness in ACB and the desire to get the price as low as possible, can that keep the sector weak for 2 days? And we're going to get some good information as to how agile or on top of their game these Credit Suisse traders are, because they're either going to fight the bounce. I would absolutely anticipate that we are not going to see 2 more red days in a row. This is the wild card. The question is going to be, are they going to be successful and short a significant amount of money to keep things really weak for the next 2 days? Are they going to continue to try and short ACB and keep it weak if the rest of the sector starts to bounce and we have that rising tide raising all ships? Are they going to try and fight that? Or are they going to accept that they're probably not going to be able to keep things this week for 2 entire more trading days and start cover where they think the bottom is and then start covering their shorts before the end of the day Wednesday? That is what I am going to be looking to. And again, if I had to guess, I would be shocked if we could see 2 more red days in a row without a bounce. If we were going to see that happen, in my opinion, we would have ended today on weak hourly bounces to see bear flags to cool off RSI and allow for another leg down. So watching the net house as to what Credit Suisse is doing tomorrow is going to be telling. If we see a lot of buying, we know they're covering their position and we know they may have converted those debentures before the deadline end of Wednesday. And by all means, if you have insight into this, feel free to comment away and open to any and all discussion, because this is going to be key for this week. And I am planning on going aggressive on this bounce play. And again, just looking to position myself. If I get an average in the low $14 range and we bounce to 15, I'm going to take half my position profit and try and establish a break-even stop on some position to allow for a bit more follow through. So CRON today I shorted because I could see that we were likely to close weak into the end of the day based on how the day's trading was going. But unfortunately, we had news come out that stopped me out. And I guess we'll wait till we get there. But the news was that New Jersey is going to be voting on recreational marijuana in 2020. So in a year, we'll have a vote for recreational. I believe it'll be November elections. I did not double check that. But add that to the number of states that are going to be looking to vote on legalization 2020. So we had a little bit of a bullish reaction. The algos and the bots reacted to it. Quick bull move, faded right back down. But that was enough to stop me out of my position. So one position of CGC, looking to deploy significantly more capital. I would love a gap down open and a flush first thing tomorrow. I will buy that bounce play regardless of what ACB and Credit Suisse is doing, but I will keep an eye on it, and that will influence how quickly I perhaps try and take some profit if we get an initial small bounce. And again, V-shaped recovery is what we want to see. And if we don't see it, we remain patient, just like today, remaining patient. I wanted to buy today, but sat on my hands. Hourly RSI, 4-hour RSI on CGC, down at those historic bounce levels again. 17, 18 is where it has bounced in the past. Can we drop down to the lowest 4-hour RSI levels that we've ever seen? Yes, absolutely. But we know how extended we are, and we know we're going to reach that point where there's nobody left to go short and nobody left to sell long positions. And that's when I want to throw my capital into this bounce and look for a very quick 5 to 10% off of the low. So for CGC, we will have a short-term resistance level. 1480 was a little top today. 1525, the high of today. 1586. We just have these little lower highs to be watching. We have the hourly 12-period exponential resistance as a visual guide. We'll be watching that as well. And again, how we start tomorrow is going to be extremely meaningful as to how I make my play on this move. The weaker the bears, the weaker, let's say the stronger and more aggressive the bears, the more aggressive I am going to be buying that dip. and I would love to see a gap down open under 14, flush it down to mid to low 13s first thing, and then see a V-shaped bounce back over 14 would be best case scenario for me. APHA, free fall today. So after holding on better than the other names the past couple of days, that fell through today. And just like that, we're back at the lows from the short report of 375. And if 375 breaks, we have no clear support levels nearby. That's the lowest price in years. And after 375, we're looking at 340 as the next level. And we got resistance here at 403 and 426. Pretty much most MJ names, most Canadian MJ names gave us 2 resistance levels today. High of the day, and then the afternoon weak bounce attempt that was not fooling many bulls that bears keep loading up on because they keep getting rewarded for shorting any bounce. And there will be a time where that's not the case, but that is not right now. So ACB, free fall. Look at the volume. It is massive. So again, $8 million plus short. We have the daily RSI approaching teens. We're at the low of the day. And this extreme volume and extreme dump is why I think if I'm Credit Suisse and I've been watching this sector for 2 years, I don't know how much dollar volume they have to short. I don't know how much they pay attention to the sector. I assume a lot. But I would be converting those debentures before end of the day Wednesday because I would not believe that the end of the day Wednesday we're going to be at our lowest point. I don't think they have enough strength to overpower the sector as a whole to get 2 more red days after such an extreme red day today. I am very interested. This is like better than anything I could watch on TV heading into the next 2 days to see how this plays out. It's fun. It's a lot of fun. Right now I'm in a red position on CGC and I'm having fun. We have to detach the emotional attachment to those dollars. So ACB resistance, we've got one at 247. Again, just a lower high. This bounce that took place today, look how extended the 5-minute time frame got without changing the trend. This is a gift to bears. This is saying, hey, short this move, and if we see a 5-minute higher low and higher high, stop out. And we didn't. And if you shorted that move like some of our members did, you ended the day very comfortable. That's what I tried to do on CRON. So CRON is still extremely weak, although CRON held up the best today out of anybody else, only down 2%, while we have -16, -10, -7 on CGC. CRON was only -2. So holding on a bit better, but it was this move where there was such a clear double top first thing this morning to short. And if the high of the day breaks, you cover your stop. So you're risking 1 to 2 pennies. I did not get that play initially because I was live streaming and answering questions, and it's way harder for me to focus and trade in the first hour of trading than it is after when I'm not live and talking and answering questions. So I took my second opportunity. The V-shaped bounce on the 5-minute that did not really change any trends, 622 is resistance. I top fished that level with a bearish entry at 619 and got some really nice follow through. I had a day maker down here, but I said, this is looking like a weak daily close is coming, and I want to swing this position and look for the potential of a gap down in the sector tomorrow morning. Unfortunately, this is the reaction to news, and some of that is my shares covering my short. Did end up making $100, so some taco feast money, but wanted to protect that trade. The last thing I'm going to do after having a day maker is going red on that trade, so I did end up stopping out, and we closed stronger in CRON than any of the other names out of APHA, ACB, and CGC. So that's something worth noting. Hourly resistance, we got 622 and 636 as the short-term levels to be watching. And again, the 12-period exponential resistance on the hourly time frame has rejected every bounce attempt in the last 4 days. That is a visual guide to be watching. TLRY, daily inside bar, so bulls putting a temporary stop to the bleeding from that all-time low, and we have to break the high of today tomorrow. Anything under 2216 is just a daily lower high. Expecting all these names in the Canadian MJ space to get green bounces when the sector is ready to bounce. OGI, still in free fall, closing near the low of the day. Things getting extreme. Resistance on the hourly, 219. And then we're looking up at 232. Hexo, free fall as well. Resistance on the hourly is 166 and 179. again, you don't want to be making this bounce play if you are under stress, if you are not used to trading these bounce plays. If it's fun and you've done this before and you've had success, then this is your bread and butter. If not, don't trade it. Be patient and wait. We're going to bounce and we're going to form daily lower highs, and the bears are going to be looking to reload on all these daily lower highs that we're going to be expecting as a result from these daily oversold bounces. So again, don't feel like you're going to miss the boat. There is going to be a bounce and there is going to be solid percentage gains off that low, but do what is most comfortable and what is best for you. And I have success trading these oversold bounces, and I will continue to do so until I start losing, and hopefully that doesn't happen. So again, the question will be, can the Credit Suisse bears contain ACB and the sector 2 more days to have the maximum lowest price? Because the conversion that takes place is the 5-day VWAP, volume weighted average price. So we're at a point right now, let's pull up ACB. What is the 5-day average price? You'd have to pull up, I'm not going to change these, but pull up the 5-day moving average, and you can see the moving average is factoring in the 5 days. We're still factoring in days from 350 and 370. As soon as you get to day number 5 down here, you're then factoring in the highest price would be 329, and then you're factoring in 273, and their conversion is 6% below that 5-day volume weighted average price. So again, it's just, are they going to fight this bounce attempt, which I would anticipate to take place before 2 days from now, or are they going to accept this is as good as it gets, convert, cover their shorts, and watch the bounce take place? Stay tuned. VFF, daily inside bar, great bounce off support. 570 was the low of the earnings reaction. Bulls that got in on 570 support, we held it by 3 pennies, and we ended up going all the way up to 626. Very significant short-term gains off that bottom fishing support, over 8%. So congrats to any bulls that recognized that support and played off of it. And the bulls will need to see the daily inside bar break bullish tomorrow. Anything under 890 will be a daily lower high, which is why I keep saying we're just looking for daily lower highs on all these bounces, and bears will be waiting for those entries. Labs, also a daily inside bar, triple top the last 3 days, 426, 24, 24. Closed fairly weak, 380. Have to hold 380 and break 426 for any shift in momentum. Otherwise, the bears will keep their control. So that's Canadian MJ. They have my attention. I'll be watching the US MJ space for their earnings, but other than that, only interested in trading the Canadian MJ space this week and looking to go aggressive. It's been a while since I've gone aggressive in the Canadian MJ space, and I do plan on deploying solid capital for this bounce. Maybe not tomorrow. If Credit Suisse on NetHouse tomorrow is still shorting and not buying anything, then that's going to tell us, okay, they're trying to drive this as low as possible, and they're not giving up yet. And could the sector bounce and then ACB just sees the weakest bounce because they are trying to contain the price? That's a possibility as well. I think it would be a little bit of an anchor on the sector-wide bounce if that does take place. Lots to be watching tomorrow. Lots of fast-moving parts. Curaleaf, keeping this move going. Just creating more and more space above the low of 593. Earnings tomorrow. So earnings in the USMJ space are going to dictate whether we test recent lows or create a lot of space above our recent lows. Because right now we're 22%, and let's say we have a 5 to 10% bullish reaction. Let's see if it were a 5% bull reaction and we got up over $8, at that point we are 29% above our recent low. Doesn't mean the bottom is in. Just go back and look at this last move where we were 29% above our recent low and dropped to lower lows. But it makes the bulls way more comfortable the more space we have. If it's a bearish reaction, our weekly lower high will be set and we'll be looking back down at the low of 593. TRUL, climax today, and just positioning for earnings after hours. I don't believe they've come out yet, but we've got bull break, continuation, way overextended because that move occurred yesterday or Friday into the end of the day and then just started right where we left off first thing this morning. And then bulls did buy some of this dip Hourly support was 14.47. We held that support by 8 pennies. Solid little bounce off that support. If it is a bearish reaction to earnings, key support on the daily will be 12.91. If it's a bullish reaction to earnings, 16.20 will be resistance. Again, they historically sell off on earnings, and it will be notable to the sector if that does not happen this time. C-Web, perfect rejection from resistance. So day number 3 of the bounce, we started really strong and we rejected right off of our daily lower high resistance, 15.33. We broke it by 2 pennies, closed at the low of the day. Best case for the bulls is an inverse head and shoulders. Left shoulder, neckline at the same level. Bulls now have to form a higher low compared to the 11.36 and then turn around and break both of these resistances to change the daily trend. But that resistance, I mean, when you head into resistance in hourly overbought conditions in a daily downtrend, when the hourly RSI has historically, consistently pulled back from 70 or low 70 for months, you expect a bear break and a bear rejection, and bears are just waiting there for that. OH, daily inside bar, have to break the inside bar bullish to try and continue tightening this daily time frame. Key resistance is 550. Key support is 393. We did get news today on when OH and CL earnings are, and I forget off the top of my head, so double check that if you're interested. CL, very tight range, daily inside bar as well. Their earnings are next week. IAN, still weak. Bulls are just not proving anything. Anything under 197 was a daily lower high. We topped out below that level, and we're looking right back at the low. Earnings are Wednesday. And if we see a bear reaction to earnings, 152. If we see a bull reaction to earnings, 245 is key resistance. GTII, a little bit of follow through, very low key day, not much going on there. 1280 and 1298 remain the most important resistance levels. Anything above 1060 is a daily high or low. And HARV still struggling to break this 386, 380, 394, just this range of resistance just below $4. Higher low, no higher high. We're looking back down at 327 and 295 support with earnings approaching this week as well. So that's where we stand. We'll see what TRUL earnings reaction gives us. Decent little bump of news about New Jersey voting to legalize. We need Florida to legalize in 2020, which would certainly be a big boost for TRUL and any other name that is in Florida. CURA has been expanding a bit. Other than that, all my focus will be on CGC and ACB and the sector for the rest of this week. So I appreciate you watching. I hope you have a good rest of your day. And establish game plans. If you don't want to play this bounce and you don't like playing bounces, patiently wait and look to go bearish for a daily lower high. Otherwise, just sit on your hands and be very patient until things get more clear and slow down a bit. Nothing wrong with any scenario that fits you and your life best. Thanks again. Do good things.